back in Brampton. Hey everybody, you're probably wondering, why are we back in B-Town? I'll tell you that in a hot second. But first, I'm your boy Brandon Gonez. Thanks for watching the BG Show. And we're gonna need you to do the homework. We need subscribing to this channel, hitting that notification bell, and following us on all of our social media. All right, so, we did our part one about Brampton. We called it, Why Does Brampton Get So Much Hate? And boy, did you guys sound off. We heard you loud and clear. And basically what you were telling us is that Brampton deserves a lot more love. So here we are, back in Brampton. And we want to figure out, what is the city going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think? In fact, we actually have a one-on-one interview with Brampton's Mayor Patrick Brown. You ready for that? We get into it. The BG Show starts right now. All right, Mayor Patrick Brown, welcome to the Brandon Gonez Show.
It's an honor. We've been cheering you on in Brampton, knowing that your mother still lives here and you've got roots here, went to high school here, so it's a real honor to be on your show.
It's exciting. I think back to when I first moved to Brampton, which was in the early 2000s. 20 years later, the population here has nearly doubled.
It's incredible. Brampton is over 700,000 people, fastest growing big city in Canada, and we're going to surpass at some point Mississauga in size. What I love about it too, it's the youngest big city in Canada, and it's also mosaic of the world. Coming to Brampton, it's the United Nations. You're never bored in Brampton. We offer everything the world has to offer right here.
So what is your vision, like your own personal vision as the mayor of this growing city? Where do you see Brampton in the next, let's say, 5-10 years?
Well, I want it to be a place where you can live, work, and play. And so what I mean by that is, I want to make sure we have jobs locally. Too many people in Brampton pre-COVID had to commute to work. I want to have good paying jobs locally. I want to have a city where there is green spaces and recreation. We just connected the Etobicoke Creek Trail to Mississauga, so you can take the Etobicoke Creek Trail from Caledon all the way down to Mississauga. We're refurbishing rec centers, building new ones. We've got a beautiful outdoor artificial ice rink in East Brampton at Gore Meadows. We're building a world-class cricket stadium. Literally every sport in the world we're going to have in Brampton as well.
One thing why I like Brampton and to support Brampton is because Brampton is like the underdog in the GTA. It's that underdog city where people like to, throw little jabs at, but every single time Brampton continues to punch above its weight. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. As the city grows, healthcare and as the population grows becomes an essential requirement. I know you've been very vocal about the fact that Brampton only has one full-service hospital. When you look at the amount the province spends per capita in this city, it's lower compared to other municipalities, other regions. Is that going to change?
Yeah, so one thing that really frustrated our residents was the lack of funding in healthcare. Before COVID, we actually declared a healthcare emergency because I looked at Brampton Civic Hospital and it was consistently over 100% capacity. And we were getting less than half the provincial average in terms of healthcare funding.
And I hate to say this in this way, but we haven't had the love from the different levels of government.
Why is that?
And
can I be honest with you, Councillor?
Yeah.
You know what I hear from
Yeah.
people in the streets?
Tell me.
A lot of it has to do with the racial makeup of Brampton.
Yeah.
People think that contributes to the fact that not as much money is spent in this city compared to other cities.
I'd hate to say this, but I think underlining that might be a consideration. They take granted what we have here in Brampton. So, the politicians, I would say the governments and our local MPs or MPPs, they're fighting hard for our city and I know what they can do, but literally the prime ministers or the premier's offices, they've never looked towards Brampton as a place for investment because they almost take for granted the vote.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a Liberal government,
not okay.
No, it isn't.
There's one standard of care in communities where there's new hospitals like Vaughan or Oakville, and there's another standard in a growing diverse community like Brampton. That's unconscionable. We pay the same provincial taxes. Why should we have a substandard level of care when it comes to health? The good news is, every meeting I've had with the Premier and the Health Minister, they said, Patrick, we're going to get you a new hospital. Stop harassing us.
Yeah.
And they actually came through. In the recent provincial budget, they included a commitment to build a new hospital on the former site of Peel Memorial, which was decommissioned when they built Brampton Civic. and they've already put the provincial tender out. We got a med school coming to Brampton, first in the GTA in 100 years.
When is that expected to be open?
So right now the provincial government have assigned us to build a plan with Ryerson, where it's going to be, the cost involved, but we want to do it as expeditiously as possible. And in terms of building a university, that doesn't happen overnight.
So that university is still coming to Brampton?
Well, the med school is coming to Brampton,
okay.
and that could be around a 5-year timetable. We've got Guelph Humber that have announced they're going to locate a campus in downtown Brampton, which is 5,000 students.
Oh, wow.
But I should add, and Algoma is in the downtown now, Algoma University. Sheridan's growing. Ryerson has their cybersecurity catalyst, training cybersecurity experts in Brampton. But on top of all those positive developments, we still want our own university. And so our council is lobbying for a Brampton U.
Hey, and remember, you can actually provide your input for Brampton's growth plan by checking out one of their upcoming town halls. It's actually happening on July 26th. Head over to brampton.ca for more information. You know, Mayor, we did start a petition to try to get Jay and Trey Richards on Brampton's Walk of Fame.
Okay.
I have you here now. Can we make that happen?
If we get a nomination from a Brampton resident, I think you may know a few here.
Plenty.
I will advocate for that nomination, 100%.
Okay, you heard it here first. Jay and Trey for Y'all Entertainment. We are gonna get you a star on Brampton's Walk of Fame. So when we talk about, you know, employment and jobs for Brampton, what does that look like here? Yeah, because I mean, when you think about Brampton, typically you think about
manufacturing, blue collar. Yeah.
Blue collar. Is that the future here in Brampton still, or?
If you look at what they call the innovation corridor, which goes from Waterloo to Toronto. Toronto is where you have the capital markets.
Yeah.
So you have the financial resources and you have the talent in Waterloo. Brampton's in the exact middle.
Right.
So we're trying to build that whole technological space.
So are we expecting more office towers to be built in Brampton compared to warehouses?
Yes, absolutely. I know right now we're a big transportation logistics hub and food processing, but let me share you some of the new developments that are happening. MDA is expanding in Brampton. They're building the Canada Space Arm, literally rocket scientists.
Right.
Now, those are very different jobs. We just launched our innovation district, and so it is accelerators at every stage of an incubator's, of a tech company's journey. But one of my favorites is we just opened Beehive. You're gonna say,
that?
what the heck is Beehive?
Yeah, because I know Beehive as Beyonce.
So,
you know Beyonce, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Beehive is our soft landing spot for tech companies.
Yeah.
And so there's Velocity in Kitchener-Waterloo, DMZ in Toronto. Well, this is that, and it's literally just a few blocks away. And we have a partnership with Startup Visa Canada. So tech companies from around the world, as they have their journey into Canadian citizenship, they bring their investment, they come and hire locally, and they bring their ideas on their entrepreneurial vision to Brampton. We're going to have over 200 tech companies locating in Brampton through the Startup Visa program over the next 2 years.
Let's talk about these small businesses. Here we are in downtown Brampton, you know, sitting on one of the outdoor patios that have been built. How do you make sure you foster an environment down here and just across the city to make people want to be an entrepreneur, to open restaurants, to open places for people to go and businesses?
Businesses want to go where there's a market, where they have customers.
Right.
And you know, one thing that we've always had in downtown Brampton is an issue is that because we're on a floodplain, because there's technical reasons why you don't get that mass customer base.
But there are a lot of condos also being built down here now.
Well, and that's exactly it. So part of what we're doing is recognizing that we need to bring more foot traffic downtown.
Okay.
Foot traffic not only is going to provide a better customer base for these businesses, but also to sustain, for example, high transportation systems.
But that's why this plan, like, right, we're residents, you got to put in your input, you got to give your input. July 26th, make sure to attend the next Brampton Town Hall. That's where people can really give their input in terms of what they want to see the city turn into and become.
That's right.
How do you ensure that people who actually reside in Brampton, people who are visible minority, for example, I mean, they make up the bulk of residents here. How do you ensure they actually get these high-paying jobs? Because what I want to know is, how do you ensure that people are not left behind?
As part of the Startup Visa program, these tech companies that come have to hire local. When I look at some of the the expansions, Rogers expansion in Brampton or MDA, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. And we can't mandate to private sector companies who they have to hire, but we want to create such an influx of new jobs that there's going to be a competition for talent. And one thing that I am 100% sure of is there is qualified, talented individuals in the mosaic of Brampton. We still have a lot of individuals who have come from different corners of the world with professional degrees that haven't been accredited in Canada because of challenges with foreign credential accreditation. So if anything, what I'm seeing is you'll have overqualified individuals for these opportunities. So any company that invests in Brampton, they're going to be lucky because there is talent. We got giants that come out of Brampton.
Yeah, and it's time that people start talking about that.
And Brandon Gonez, of course.
Oh gosh, well that's true. With all these companies moving here, I mean, house prices are already insane. I mean, you look at the affordable housing waitlist in Peel, it's anywhere between 5 to 12 years, depending on your circumstance. The average house price here in Brampton has doubled since 2016. So if you're a homeowner, I mean, you're winning. If you're looking to buy a home, it's difficult. How do you balance the two?
It's harder and harder to get into the housing market right now. If you're a young person, it's intimidating. And what I would say, and I'm going to be blunt, there's a lot of politicians who make promises that they can't honor. Any municipal politician who promises they can reduce housing prices isn't being honest and sincere. And I'm not going to sell anyone a story that we're going to bring housing prices down. But what I will say is that we're committed into creating options for housing. So it's not just going to be the single family house. We'll have more townhouse options, more routes for people more condo options, more routes for people to enter the housing market. And at the same time, for those that can't afford any of the products or get approved by the bank to purchase any of these housing products, we're investing heavily in affordable housing.
How fast though? So that wait list is long, and it continues to grow.
So the Region of Peel looked at the wait list 2 years ago, 7-year wait list, 7 years. Who's gonna wait 7 years? And so we built a plan of how we could get affordable housing built right away. And it's a $1 billion plan. The Region of Peel put $333 million in. The feds have come in with $330 million. We're hoping the province will come in too. They haven't given us their commitment yet. And we're starting. We already have locations where there's construction underway. We want to move the yardstick on that wait list.
Is there a goal to cut that wait list to, let's say, 2 years, 6 months? Is there a target?
Yeah, I'd love to get that wait list completely eliminated. That's not going to happen overnight. But we are going to have, for the first time in a long time, thousands of new affordable housing units come onto stream. So we're going to make progress. And one thing the federal government did during COVID, understanding how long it takes, they said to the Region of Peel, you buy an old hotel or an old facility, retrofit it, and so we can turn it into affordable housing immediately, within a year. We found sites in Brampton and Mississauga, which will be released shortly, that we are literally over the next year going to retrofit to have immediate new housing stock available that's affordable.
So you got some thoughts on how Brampton should address affordable housing? Well, make sure to attend the next virtual town hall and give your input. It starts July 26th. Head over to brampton.ca for more information. You said that Brampton is expected to surpass the size of Mississauga soon. How soon?
Well, if you look at the population figures, by 2050 we're going to be over 1 million individuals, and where Mississauga has run out of land to build, there's still ongoing growth and vacant land in Brampton, and for that reason there's higher population projections in Brampton. Think about that. We're going to be a city of over 1 million.
So how are people going to get around? Because that 410 is already packed, my guy.
You know,
seriously?
So 2 things we're working on that I should reference. We're going to have rapid bus transit on Queen Street that we're actively working on now.
So is that an enhanced Zoom? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, dedicated rapid bus lanes on Queen Street, but we're also going to be expanding the LRT. Phase 1 is under construction right now that takes us to Steele Street, and Council just passed a plan to have a tunneled LRT connecting it all the way to the GO Stream.
When do you think that would be completed though?
So the first phase of LRT will be completed by 2023, 2024.
Ken, welcome to the Brandon Gonez Show.
Good to be here.
You know, we're so excited to have you on the show. We've been talking about Brampton's growth. You know, you're famous in this realm in terms of planning and development in the next 5, 10, 15 years. People from Brampton, what does that look like?
A lot of the new development that's coming along is not your typical greenfields development, sprawling, car-dependent development that Brampton has experienced in the past, but people living vertically, living in what are now referred to as 15 or 20-minute neighborhoods, organized around the transit. So with a radius of roughly 800 meters, the fact that kids would be able to walk to school again. People could do their shopping, not having to get into their cars. You would have library, community recreation, healthcare, all of those things within walking radius, or as many of them as possible.
But I want to reference one thing really cool we're doing in transit in Brampton. We launched with the federal government the first interoperable electric bus pilot project in Canada. We have 2 routes running right now that are electrified buses. Literally, when they're picking up passengers, that's when the batteries charge at each stop.
But is that going to mean more buses on these routes so there's less time between these buses coming?
So we're going to do more buses, but we're actually going to change our entire fleet to be electrified. We're going to have the greenest transit fleet in Canada in Brampton.
Okay, so people are going to be able to get around
in a green, effective way.
I'm just making sure because sometimes you be stuck on steels, can't go nowhere. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Awesome. Thank you for coming to beautiful Gage Park.
Listen, the reality is Brampton, B-Town is growing and it's growing fast. But only you can shape how this city is gonna look like in the future. And one of the best ways to do that is honestly attending the next virtual town hall. The next one's actually on July 26th. Make your voices heard. Have your input. In the meantime, BG Squad, we're gonna wrap up this episode in B-Town because we gotta get back to Toronto, as much as I love Brampton. But don't ever forget this, we drop episodes of News You Can Use every Tuesday and Friday. And if you have any topic that you want us to check out here on this show, make sure to email us, news@brandongonezshow.com. I say this every single week. We love you for watching. Subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next week.